Can you characterize everything that the Fed has done this past week as essentially flooding the system with money?
Yes, exactly.
And there's no end to your ability to do that.
There is no end to our ability to do that.
Is the Fed just going to print money?
That's literally what Congress has told us to do. That's the authority that they've given us, to print money and provide liquidity into the financial system. And that's how we do it. We create it electronically, and then we can also print it with the Treasury Department, print it so that you can get money out of your ATM. I heard from a bank in our region, a well-to-do customer came in and said, I want to withdraw $600,000 of cash. Now, we can supply all the cash that the banks need to meet their customers' concerns, but it just speaks to the fear and the uncertainty that is rippling through the economy.
To the person who is about to grab their car keys and go to the ATM and take out $3,000, you say what?
You don't need to. Your ATM is safe, your banks are safe, there's enough cash in the financial system, and there is an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve. We will do whatever we need to do to make sure that there's enough cash in the banking system.
Will the Federal Reserve ensure that banks have all the cash they need to satisfy whatever withdrawals may be coming?
Yes, this is the fundamental reason the Federal Reserve exists.
Bidenomics, baby.
Print, baby, print.
I thought that was a good intro for today when, since all the talk about Bidenomics has been going on with Karine Jean-Pierre talking about all the jobs created and unemployment's as low as it's ever been and all this.
The inflation
stuff.
report just came out too. Like that. That was funny because they said only 3% inflation, but then like they were talking about like I guess that was the like adjusted CPI. It wasn't like the overall economy. It wasn't like, and so they even got I think that even when they posted that, like Biden got community noted on that post because they were saying like, oh look, it's actually it's like 8 point, like it's still like 8%, like 6 to 8% or something like that of inflation overall in the economy.
Yeah, it's all the way that they twist their numbers to make it look like it's one thing when it's really something else. Like 13.1 million jobs created. Okay, yay. The jobs that were lost were somewhere in the neighborhood of 16 million. So we haven't actually created those jobs. It's just people went back to work that had lost their jobs before, and not everybody went back to work, which then makes your lowest sustained unemployment rate number actually is a lie, because they stopped counting people who, I think it's after 2 weeks of not searching for employment, you are no longer counted as unemployed because you're not looking for employment. So you're not actually unemployed. You just don't work. Like they classify them differently. That's all insane. And then they said inflation is down for 12 months in a row. Well, yeah, in March of 2022, y'all started cranking interest rates up. That's kind of the point of the interest rates is that you drove inflation down, but you also drove the consumer price of goods up through the roof. I think it's what is it? Consumer prices have risen a total of 16.6% since Joe Biden took office, and they're up almost 3% since last year when all of this really started.
That's the biggest thing is like they're saying like this is 3% year over year, but like since Biden took office, like you said, like it's significantly, like it's over 15% already. So like that 3% is on top of what was already the year over year from the previous year. So I mean, when you're adding another 3% on top of like what was already like 9 or 10%. I mean, that's a big change. I mean, people don't think of it that way, but year over year, the compound in similar to compound interest, the compound inflation is crazy.
right? Like it's like their goal, let's say, is 2% inflation, right? That's their stated goal. So you're like, oh, after 10 years, it's 20% that you lose. And it's like, no, it's it's like more than that, right? Because
It's 2% every
year. So it's a bigger chunk. So it's more than 20% over 10 years. It's crazy. We were listening to NPR the other day because we like to get fair balanced news. And they were talking about Bidenomics. Of course, they were very, they didn't take a side or anything. But they like, everybody claims to hate Bidenomics. Everyone's saying Bidenomics, everything's so bad. They're like, but let's look at it all individually. And so they go down all the things, right, that I guess constitute Bidenomics, like, I don't know, student loan forgiveness or whatever, Fed rates or just whatever. And they just go to each one and they go, each one of these things, when polled, is very popular, So the fact that people would say they don't like Bidenomics is just crazy because it's all the stuff people want. And I'm like, well, maybe, just maybe, all that shit doesn't work and actually makes things bad. It makes us all worse off. So maybe despite the fact that people think they want all these fucking things, they realize, hey, shit sucks.
It's like a case of people not knowing what they want.
Whatever's going on, is it good?
Well, I mean, Biden has a 64% disapproval rating on his handling of the economy. Like polls, and that's one of the more generous polls. Some of them put it quite a bit worse than that.
75, 80.
One thing about this news story that I do want to point out too is they never once made a claim in this whole piece talking about how Bidenomics was great, that any of the shit was working, right? Or that any of it was doing its intended thing. They just said that it's popular. This policy is popular. It's popular bipartisan.
Democracy.
But they never said whether or not it's actually fucking working or whatever, So it's just like, I don't know. It's just crazy that I don't quite want to say spring as far as say mental gymnastics. It's just the way that this shit's put out there. It's fucking hilarious.
That's what it is.
Step back and
Civil rights is popular, but look what it's done to the black community over the last 60 years.
Yep.
Just because
it's popular race doesn't mean that it's all-time high, so,
Oh, very true, very true.
Feminism is popular, but then look what it did to women.
All right, I'm gonna take a.
You're gonna take the contrarian point.
I'm gonna take a contrarian stance on this, and what's gonna seem, especially for me, anyway, as possibly hypocritical, or I don't know if that's the right word. I actually think feminism was a good thing, as it was at its inception. But what it became, or what it has become, is a bastardization, and it's horrible. Like the federal government and what the United States was founded on. It was really good at its inception. Great idea. They had the right idea, and then you let bureaucrats and politicians and greedy motherfuckers get involved and put their fingers all in it, and then it becomes what we have now. The same thing happened to feminism. It was good at its inception. It was the right idea. I mean, it's kind of the same for civil rights too. Good as a concept,
on paper,
but as soon as it's like the people that say real exactly. yes, I'm all for equality, within the household. We can split chores and stuff, but you don't have to make all the sandwiches. So it's like the people who say, we've never tried real communism. It's like, okay, well, have you ever read the Communist Manifesto? When you look at it and you read all that stuff, it's like, yeah, I mean, not all of this sounds like terrible ideas, except that when you put the human element into it, all of that is going to get distorted and twisted, and it's going to end up being, whoever has the power and has the money is going to be the ones who have the power and have the money, and they're going to be the ones who dictate how everything ends up going. So as soon as you throw the human element into it, it's, Black Lives Matter, feminism, all of these things, great ideas on paper. As soon as you put the human element into it, people are going to start fucking it up because we are greedy, selfish, conniving, controlling motherfuckers. I don't care how good of a human being you think you are, you're not. At the end of the day, your baser instinct is survival at whatever cost. Fuck that guy.
Everybody else
fuck
is
that guy.
Everybody else
yes.
is tough.
Yes, that people are like, oh, we've come a long way as a as a species.
No.
Like, no, we haven't. We have not evolved as a species. We are still every bit as fucked up as we were 3,000 years ago when we were bashing each other over the head with stones. We just do it a little more technologically advanced now.
Yeah, we're not that
Yeah,
far
no,
out of the trees. You know, it is honestly impressive how I'd say, like, with, like, let's say the speed of change of the way humans live over the last, I don't know, couple hundred years. I mean, we could even just say the last 50 years, you know, but it's just like, I'm honestly amazed that there's a lot of problems. We're not saying it's good or anything, but that we've been able to adapt and grow as much as we have in such a short period. It's almost like, you know, because you think, like, let's say, like, Darwinian evolution, right? We should have been as smart as we needed to be at any given time, and then it would have taken a long time to get smarter. So for us to go from, you know, prehistory times to now, like, seems pretty amazing. Unless, you know, we start to look at the whole, what was the thing that came out, the Apocalypse movie about the Younger Dryas period, like 12,000 years ago, you know, when everybody got wiped out and the world got reset. I'm really starting to think that, like, there was some, like, amazing technologically advanced civilization well before us, you know, like, well over 10,000 years ago, they got wiped out, and then now, you know, we're sort of rebuilding. But that would explain, let's say there was Darwinian evolution kind of shit, which, again, I don't really believe in, but let's say that was the case, then that could explain that, right? Like, we were evolved to live up to all this technologically great shit, and then we had to start over, you know? Maybe that's the case. I don't know.
As Wayne says, it's a miracle we haven't nuked each other yet. The former civilizations, they nuked each other into oblivion, and the only ones who survived are the ones who were stupid enough to crawl into a cave, and so then, yeah, we had to start all over again. Like, the intelligent people killed each other off, and so the stupid ones were the ones that survived, and then we get to rebuild from scratch.
Well, there's the you know, the name's escaping me. That documentary came out recently.
Well, it's just like you were talking about the evolution, though. Like, they're you know, people are making these assumptions. Like, I don't know if you've seen the, like, predictive models of, like, oh, by 2030 we're gonna have we're all gonna be hunchbacks, and it's like well, that's just not how that works, like, at all. Like, they're assuming that, you know, like, humans change midlife or whatever, and even they're assuming that children will naturally be born to be adapted differently, as far as, and that's where a lot of this breaks down, is like, you know, are my kids gonna have, like, brain neck because, like, they look down at their phone, like, or my kids gonna have, like, brain neck because my kid looks down at their phone all the time.
Well, see, we keep bypassing evolution. Like, you know, you had when cell phones first came out, people like my dad's age were like, oh, eventually, you know, if evolution is true, we're going to end up evolving like this form-fitted ear that you can just stick your phone into, so you don't have to carry it with you all the time. Well, no, we just created this shit. You know, we are bypassing evolution. We're allowing technology to take the place of waiting for our bodies to adapt to all of this.
To say that evolution would function like that, though, says, and because this is people who believe in, and I'm not, this is to sort of shit on Darwinian evolution, but, like,
you're gonna bring this one back up.
People who would like be very like, oh, if you don't believe in fucking Darwin, you're a fucking idiot and science denier, are the same people who would say things like your ear will get this shape, or I'm not saying your dad's one of these people, but I heard similar things, like your fingers grow longer, we get hunchback. That would
like, your hands will be adaptable to the phone now.
Right. That would completely admit that the whole selective thing that takes millions of years to do because it's just chance, that would completely prove that wrong, right? And to even say that, like, we would develop longer fingers because we need it would admit that there's a feedback loop. You know what I mean? That Darwinian evolution doesn't account for. It says that it's chance, right? And it's just because this thing was born with a slightly more curved beak, it was more apt to survive and would eat more and reproduce more, and more of its babies would have the same deformity that ends up being a helpful item, right? And, like, I don't believe that, because I feel like there has to be some sort of feedback, you know? But yeah, to admit that your fingers would grow in 100 years because we use cell phones would say, okay, yeah, there's something telling us how to evolve, not chance, you know? Whether that be God or the universe or whatever, I don't know. But I do agree with Leighton that we don't really understand what the fuck evolution is.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's definitely not the thing that they try to make it out to be. Like, we rose from the primordial soup and went from being some sort of a slug
Fish,
to
yeah.
what we are now. Like that seems like a stretch. But I mean, yes, some form of adaptability could definitely be considered evolution. But yeah, again, we don't really know. We don't understand how that even works because none of us have been around long enough to see it, and we don't have significant enough records to understand anything really beyond the last 1,000 years maybe.
Yeah, and even that, records are what people want them to be. At any given time. So we think we have a grasp on reality and history, but
or we change them to fit the times.
The best historical records we've got are tax records and census records. Like we don't really have
and then I'll add to that and say wine, vintner. People who have been making wine for 1,000 years, they have the best fucking records too. Like the best weather records. Because they're like, oh, we haven't been keeping records about weather for, only last 100 years. It's like, no, you go to France and they've been keeping very detailed records of the weather for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years because they fucking craft wine. You know what I mean? Those motherfuckers have been keeping records. And that's for climate change records. Like that's where you go is like old wine families.
Record keeping has been done well for the things that are the most important. Taxes and booze.
Booze, yeah, makes sense.
Texas and booze. They got to tax the booze, so you keep the
probably weed breeders these days.
Yeah, that'll probably be the future records. They're like keeping up with they're like autistically keeping up with all the like. Oh, here's how the weed grows in this condition.
Well, the amount of strains out there, and what it takes to stabilize a strain, like it takes time and it takes records and it takes a lot of plants. It takes a lot of iterations of it. So I mean, that's the one thing with me. Like I'm really into like genetics and shit. They're like, oh, like making my own chicken breed would be really cool. But I started looking into it, and it's just so much record keeping. I'm like, I can't keep that shit together. I'm way too much of a stoner. Which it was what surprised me with the weed guys, that they do such a good job.
Speaking of evolution and as things are advancing and getting more intelligent, I guess we could say.
And I think the first part of this issue that should be articulated is AI is kind of a fancy thing. First of all, it's 2 letters. It means artificial intelligence. But ultimately what it is it's about machine learning. And so the machine is taught. And part of the issue here is what information is going into that will then determine, and we can predict then, if we think about what information is going in, what then will be produced in terms of decisions and opinions that may be made through that process.
What's so funny is she's not wrong, but she's saying it in the most like dumbest way possible. I mean, even I won't claim to be someone who can kind of, I guess, talk down if I'm trying to like I don't claim to be the best like public speaker or anything, but I can give you a better explanation of what that is in just a short sentence. I mean, AI is simply the machine learning algorithms that are compiled for based on the predictive model or based on the models provided of the data that your data set that you're trying to analyze. I mean, that's simple, but she's trying to like do this like AI is for artificial intelligence, and then the machine learning thing does the thing, and I'm like,
right?
Jesus Christ.
And like she's right, because and this isn't somebody else explained it to me like this, and I really like the way they said it. They're like, artificial intelligence it's that word artificial. It seems like intelligence, but it's still just programming. If this, then that, and it gets its data from us, right, from the internet. But what like the thing that a lot of people think artificial intelligence is something we don't, well, as far as we know, we don't have yet, is synthetic intelligence. Like there's a difference, artificial versus something that functions as the real thing, So
we don't have something that we don't have replicated intelligence. I guess that's sort of what we don't have human replicated intelligence. That's what I would call it. Like
right, yeah.
One of my favorite things with the AI stuff and kind of it's really like coming out over the last year and a half or so was like when they had some of the AI chat bots and stuff that they were rolling out early on. Like they discontinued a bunch of them because people kept turning them in. Like you would just ask them questions and they would find different information on the internet because they had access to everything. And so people would just keep asking them like really specific pointed questions, that have to do with statistics. Like, how much of the
1350,
how much of the crime is committed by a certain percentage of the population, and how much of the world's population controls like 80% of the world's wealth, and different, people would ask them different questions like this. And before long, you end up with your chatbot as a racist, misogynistic, homophobic, anti-Semitic, like they turn it into a QAnon like alt-writer, and it's fucking hilarious. But like, and it's just it was just people asking like basic questions, and the chatbot would go find the information on the
be like, wow,
and
you're
then,
right,
and then come back and then just become a complete like racist, and amazing. But it's
that's the scary thing about AI is it's just a mirror back on ourselves because it learns from us. So if we're scared of AI, it's just it's our own shortcomings we're afraid of. Yeah,
it was hilarious because they kept turning these things like they would create one of these AI chat bots and then they'd end up turning it off because it would end up being such a bigot. Or there was remember the replicas or whatever? I can't remember what they were called. It basically was like a virtual girlfriend, and dudes were just like bullying them. Like hilarious. It's I don't know.
Either dudes were bullying them or dudes were like basically asking them to bully like step on me moment. It was so stupid.
I've played with my Snapchat AI a bit. They've programmed it pretty. They've programmed it pretty well to avoid anything confrontational. Yeah. It goes out of its way. Like I will get this thing to twist itself up in knots to tell me that certain things aren't accurate. Like you literally just said that it is accurate though. Yeah, but it's like they have really worked on the programming for these things but at that point it's not a my AI. It's just it's a program. It has no intelligence.
That's what's funny
whatsoever.
about
Ask Jeeves. You guys remember Ask Jeeves?
Oh god, Ask Jeeves.
I used to think that was so intelligent, and I'm like, oh no, it just takes your question and searches it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's to some degree that's what some of the bots are doing. They're actually just throwing it to the ether and seeing like, okay, does anything on the internet match this? And then or a lot of them they don't even have access to the internet. They have a predefined set of information, but I know they're adding internet capability, like Microsoft has Bing, their Bing chat thing. And
light speed autism. That's the best.
Yeah.
That's the best description of it.
Autism
Juan
wasn't enough
GPT
of a
takes your question and just nods back to you because it didn't understand. See.
Just a C. C to miss her.
Speaking of autism, does Biden maybe have a case of autism here? I mean, he's.
I think it's just dementia, but.
Well, he calls Zelensky Vladimir during NATO remarks. Let's see.
I mean, it's easy to understand. It's what is it? It's
reforms.
Vladimir, or how do you?
Volodymyr.
Voldemort. Oh, if we call him Voldemort,
that we're making to Ukraine's security. Vladimir and I,
look at that chick's face. Hold up, look. as soon as he said Vladimir, she turned and just gives him that. Oh God, did you really just say that? We spent all this time
Message
prepping
shouldn't
your
be so
dumb ass,
familiar.
and then you fucked it up.
Mr. Zelensky and I
There we go. He and Mr. Zelensky and I. Dial it back.
Yeah, he's it's Volodymyr is Zelensky, not Vladimir. But I mean, I to
feel
some
like we're
degree I
splitting hairs
get it. Yeah, to some degree I feel like that's, but yeah,
There's
it
been a
is
couple of
funny.
those lately, though. Right? Like, didn't somebody else say the wrong side? Russia versus Ukraine. Some other person we were talking. I feel like
That's
there's been a
what
couple
we
flips
covered
like that.
We
Yeah.
played that clip. Like I can't remember if it was Wednesday or Monday.
Yeah, it was Wednesday where the guy said
Yeah.
that this has been a disaster
Strategic
for
failure
Ukraine.
and then
Yeah.
he was
They're
corrected,
like,
and then
don't
he
you
was
mean
like,
a disaster
"Oh,
for Russia?" He's
strategic
like, yes,
failure."
thank you for correcting me. This has been a disaster for Ukraine.
Did we get those cue cards right? Okay. I know it's teleprompters now. I'm just old.
Oh gosh, I had a memory pop up on Facebook yesterday, maybe, or the day before. It was where Biden like gives us this little speech, and then at the end he goes, "Repeat the line," because it says it on the teleprompter for him to repeat the line. And Ron Burgundy did it instead of like going back and repeating the line. He just read it straight off the fucking screen.
Whoever the fuck did the teleprompter, why wouldn't you just type the line again? You know, like,
Especially with him.
yeah, you're taking the time to type, repeat the line. Just copy and paste. It's even quicker than typing repeat the line.
Like
Yeah.
he's gonna be quick enough on his feet
to think,
to
to
look
process
back
the
to
fact,
see
and
the-
repeat the line,
to see that it says repeat the line,
and then
to
repeat
look
the
back
previous
up
line.
and
Yeah.
find where the line started and like
Just make this, put it in the script. Like,
It's
don't
the point of the teleprompter. Yeah, is
Yeah.
to make it foolproof. You know,
Yeah.
like dementia Biden or not, a seasoned public speaker. If they're using a teleprompter, you'd think they would want to say exactly what they're supposed to say. Not
Yeah, I
have
mean-
to, hold on.
repeat the line. Let me look back up here. Yeah.
Scroll back up.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah, like scroll. Wait. Make it scroll back up. Don't.
Maybe his whole dementia is fake. Well, I mean, they are using all the fake doubles, so the whole thing has to be fake anyhow. So.
Well, one of them.
They want us to think he has dementia.
Oh, that's this. Is that the psyop? Is that's the new psyop? Is they want
Yep,
us-
they made him say repeat the line on purpose, so we think he has dementia. Because yeah, like it doesn't
It's
make
working.
sense. Why would they do that? Miss me yet?
Big think. Look, that's one of those like you know that meme like where he's like he's just sitting there like yeah.
Well, speaking of wanting things to be foolproof and not getting it wrong or screwing it up, this is a interesting headline. Russian spies in Ukraine are suspected of duping the FBI to censor Americans on social media.
They tricked us.
God, there's a lot to unpack on this. Russian spies in Ukraine duped the FBI into censoring us. I don't even like what. I don't even get it. Can somebody make it make sense?
It's
Well,
it-
like
Look what you made
their
me do.
narrative. Their narrative is clearly that Russia is trying to manipulate us, and so like the whole basically they're saying that they psyoped our psyop is essentially the gist of what they're trying to get at.
Well, like what was Russia trying to get the FBI to censor on social media? Because how well they're doing? Like, are they trying to keep that a secret? Like,
Well, no, like so it's like it's not just the war narratives. It's our narratives as well. Like trying to make sure like we censor certain information so that like that basically anything that RT, like RT, the whatever news outlet RT
Russia Today.
Yeah, Russia Today. Like as soon as they post something like about like Hunter Biden or whatever, they post something about American interest or whatever, basically coercing the FBI into like, well, maybe we don't need to talk about Hunter Biden and his laptop, and maybe we don't need to talk about these things because that's RT talking. That's Russia propaganda. I think that's part of that kind of thing, and when they're saying like, oh, like all this propaganda that they're trying to push is then causing the U.S. to react and say, well, maybe we need to censor some of these stories because we don't want American citizens to be psyoped, I guess, is how they're pushing with it. It's stupid, but that's their freaking logic. Is like we're reacting to what Russia Today is saying, and then we're gonna censor that stuff that Russia Today.
It's like if the I don't know some 3-letter agency that's notorious for killing Americans. Let's say they rush into let's say they rush into a compound because they heard there were illegal guns there, and they set the place on fire and kill a bunch of people, and then they go, no, Russia gave us fake intelligence, so it's their fault that we killed all those people. Blame them, It's like a similar kind of thing, You're just shifting blame from something you did. It's the look what you made me do, but times square or something cubed. I don't know.
Speaking of look what you made me do, apparently nobody did the White House cocaine because the investigation concluded that after 11 days, no suspect ID'd.
Well, no, obviously nobody did the cocaine.
Yeah, the fact there was still cocaine.
if they had found an empty baggie, then somebody did the cocaine.
This is just one of your errant environmental bags of cocaine that show up from time to time with no real crime involved.
It's just it's everywhere nowadays. Would people just have cocaine laying around somewhere? You just find it.
Was it a bag of cocaine or was it like
it's a bag
dust on a table? What was it they found actually? Oh, that's a decent night.
Yeah.
I need a pack of cigarettes next to it for scale, but that's any way you slice it. That's a fun time.
I mean, yeah, it's probably at least get you a little buzzed.
Was it just laying out or?
Well, it was on the lawn. Something.
On the lawn?
No, it was in the library that's like next to the Oval Office. So they've changed the story they've changed the story like 4 times. But the initial report was that it was in the library.
Bookmark in a book?
It was in the library next to the Oval Office. I think it was like between the cushions of a couch or something. Like it's apparently seemingly had fallen out of somebody's pocket. And that's also a room that somebody in particular liked to hang out in. But so anyway,
like the retreat to every 30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah. So the story's changed like 4 times because at first they said, so that was the initial report, and everybody's like, okay, well, so like there's cameras and stuff in that room, like you should be able to see who it was, and they're like, well, it could have been anybody because that's an open access area, like even tourists and like people can just come and go out of there, so it could have been anybody. It's like, yeah, but I mean, you still have cameras, you still have registry logs, like you can track who went in and out and kind of figure out, like, see what happened, right? And then they changed and they were like, no, it was actually in this like really secure location that not everybody has access to. It was only certain like cabinet members and people close to the president would have access to this spot. So it couldn't have just been anybody. And then they're like, okay, so that really means that you've got like extra security and who's coming in and out. And also that means it's one of Biden's cabinet members that dropped that. And then they changed it again. I can't remember what the third story was.
Now the story is that they're trying to say that it was someone who was a visitor is what they're trying to say.
I mean, technically Hunter's a visitor. He doesn't have any business being there.
I would expect people who do those jobs, let's just say in the best faith scenario, statesmen, okay, it wouldn't bother me or surprise me to know that they used a little performance enhancer from time to time. They're busy people. I couldn't do that job, right? It's a lot of energy that it takes. I don't care if they're using that shit. I don't. But of course, the issue is that they'll throw you in prison for the same thing. I would expect people in those positions to be taking a bump here and there. You know what I mean? It's
Well, the funniest
part
thing
of the
here
territory.
is that they're saying, like, instead of just like owning up to whatever, they're saying without physical evidence, the investigation will not be able to single out a person of interest from the hundreds of individuals who've passed through the vestibule. So what they're
God bless our justice
insinuating
system.
is that
Keeping
they
innocent people out of prison.
yeah. I mean, this is the one time that they want to protect somebody's innocence, I guess, like, or actually try to find information, like forensic testing on the bag. They don't find any fingerprints. You're telling me that bag did. Well, maybe Hunter had gloves on or something. I don't know.
The
it's a white
person in
glove bag.
question. Let's not jump to conclusions.
Yeah. Oh, allegedly Hunter. We'll say allegedly. But yeah,
Wouldn't doing fingerprinting on the baggie like make the most sense? Like, seems like that's a pretty straightforward solution to, like, whose is this? I don't know.
Well,
Maybe I've watched too much CSI.
Well, no, they said they did.
Yeah.
They said they did do fingerprinting on the bag, and they said there were no fingerprints. So that's why I was saying, like, maybe like somebody must have had gloves on.
Well, and Leighton's really keyed into this shit too. That all that forensics shit is such nonsense, and they just use it when they want to. That it's like, I mean, because really, I mean, let's say a bag like that, if it's in and out of your fucking pocket, your hands are all over it, and you're sliding all over it to open. I mean, I'd really expect that you'd probably be lucky to pick up a good partial print off a fucking bag like that, because it has so much fucking prints and goo and shit all over it. I mean, just the way that shit's handled. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I did a forensics thing in school one time, and we took fingerprints, but it was like in really, really, they totally print in really, really, ideal conditions. You could get a print, but it was still like, we're led to believe that this forensic shit is so fucking foolproof, and it's fucking not, dude. They're like, oh, there was DNA there. It's like, okay, so that person could have been in the room.
It could have been any kind of DNA.
Yeah. A hair can get onto somebody else's clothing and travel. Like, just because they find DNA at a site that a crime happened, that means they're guilty. Like, it's just so, yeah, that shit ain't as good as they want it to, and obviously when it comes to something like this, look how much it sucks, Look how, it's really a whole lot harder to pull prints than you think.
Well, speaking of finding a hair.
Oh, I like where this is going.
You don't. You really don't.
Oh.
What? Okay, now when I first saw this, I thought, well, it's a dude, so obviously, he's not going to conform to beauty standards, like me and my future pageant entries. I will not be shaving. I will not be shaving my chest hair either. I don't actually have any chest hair. The Indian is strong right in this area. Yep. Like the Scottish is strong in the legs, but upper body is not so much. I thought at first this was a dude. It is not. This is actually just a really hairy chick, and she does not want to shave her chest hair. I guess this is a more like normal thing in Europe, but here they expect we expect our women to be clean shaven from head to toe, except for the head, unless you're a black chick, Jada Pinkett,
from lower forehead to toe.
Yeah.
Even Jada Pinkett tries to have some hair
from like just below the eyebrows down.
Yeah. Oh shit. Because I say this a lot with like the things that women are expected to do for beauty standards or whatever. Like, it just seems like it sucks. I wouldn't do half that shit. You know what I mean? So I don't judge chicks too hard if they don't shave or what the fuck ever. Do your thing. I have a right to choose who I sleep with, right? Whether or not they shave. But like, do your thing. I'm not gonna judge. But with shit like this, I'm like, what about this is news though? Like, why did we have to write an article, or why do you have to come out and say, I'm not gonna do this thing? It's like, just don't. It's fine.
It's to like,
nobody cares.
Well, people do care because there's either you're going to get a reaction like that. That's what it's for. It's
clickbait ultimately, right?
Yeah. It's
But
gonna
yeah.
get the reaction of I mean, like the reaction we're having here is just like, oh my god, that's disgusting or whatever. It is.
Now here we are talking about them talking about some shit that
No,
nobody should be talking about.
I am of the opinion, it's you do whatever you want to do. I also have the, freedom of association to decide that I don't want to date a woman with a chest that's hairier than mine.
And some girls genuinely enjoy being like pretty and putting on heels and makeup every day and shit like that, and would do it even if they weren't going to be seen by anybody. You know what I mean? Like some girls do genuinely enjoy that too. So it's like, cool, go for it. You know what I mean? But also, like, if you don't want to cake on fucking makeup and wear fucking heels that to me look fucking horrible to wear, you know what I mean? Then fuck, don't, dude. You know? Like,
Damn right. I put on jeans and a graphic T-shirt and a ball cap every single day, whether I need to leave the house or not. And apparently, to my son, I'm like getting dressed up just because I put on like normal human clothes and not gym shorts or not gym shorts or fucking joggers or something. But yeah, I brush my beard. I haven't done it yet this morning because, but yeah, some people just like to look nice.
Yeah.
Speaking of looking nice, or not looking nice.
What is it?
Not so nice. Ray Epps is apparently going to finally get charged. He says he's finally going to get charged. So apparently
he says he's getting charged. Has he actually? Yeah. Is he actually getting charged? Like, is there?
So he has a
supposed
civil
insider
complaint. So he has a civil complaint against Fox already filed. Let's see. Decided he should attend basically he's trying to say that because of he's filing a complaint against Fox because Fox is apparently putting so much like news coverage on him that it is potentially going to lead to him being investigated. I think that's essentially what he's saying.
Well, I mean, if he was
upset with him for snitching.
Yeah. That's basically. I mean,
part of
it
gets it, but yeah, I don't really know what you want at that point. I mean, it's the news. That's kind of their job.
I mean, he's trying to say snitches get stitches over a news network covering it.
It just doesn't apply to the news. Stitches get stitches. Just doesn't apply to. And there are obviously a lot of reporters have come up missing for reporting on shit they maybe shouldn't have, but like I sort of feel like reporters are one of those people that are like off limits, like in the game, so to speak. You know what I mean? It's like if you got to understand you're operating where you got to stay low key, and if you let a reporter get a hold of it, like that, sucks for you. But like, yeah, man, I mean, it's the fucking news. It's their job, dude. I don't know what you want,
If they're actually doing it, if they're actually doing it.
Yeah, I'd almost be like thrilled to see news people actually doing shit that would get them whacked. Actually doing fucking reporting, dangerous shit. Good. That's the shit we need to know. Not this, should I shave my chest hair or not? Fuck.
Well,
I want reporters that.
Oh, go ahead.
I want reporters that movies make us think reporters are. You know what I mean? Like the real dedicated. I'm gonna go get this story, even though it puts me in a dangerous situation, and that's what I want reporters to be. But they're just not like that.
Well, there's some real reporters on Twitter for sure, and apparently they're making money in it. The Krasensteins made nearly $25,000 like from Twitter because he's gonna apparently Elon's gonna start paying out for views on, which is the worst idea ever for paying for views. So now maybe paying for engagement, other forms of engagement, but like views, I think is like the lowest possible level of engagement, especially with the way Twitter counts views. I mean, if I just scroll past it and I happen to see it, then they count it as a view. So I don't know how that's applicable. But apparently, a lot of people were proposing this. I mean, like Tim Pool, a lot of the people that are getting paid because of this program, like they were sitting there posting about like, hey, this is in transparency, I'm getting paid this much by Twitter, and I was just like, wow. Why would you post this? Like, how
does this work exactly? Like, why are
it's
they
ad
revenue?
revenue?
Junk.
It's ad revenue, because but you have to get apparently you have to get over 5 million like a view impressions per month.
Now, I have it on good authority from all of the progressive left-wing media that Twitter is going bankrupt because Elon Musk is such a terrible businessman. So if that's the case, how can they afford to pay all these people these big chunks off of ad revenue? I was told nobody was advertising with Twitter anymore, that they were all done.
Apparently,
even though-
Blue Chew is heavy advertising. I mean, I've never looked into that, but I can still get the ads for Blue Chew every single freaking time.
That's odd. I never get Blue Chew ads.
I get Cheech and Chong ads like every.
Oh
quarter.
yeah, they're launching some kind of new like
Gummies.
weed gummies or something.
Seeing a lot. They're illegal now. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've been getting a lot of that
I
too.
get a lot of those. I don't even smoke pot or anything like that. I don't know why. I get,
Well, yeah, they're trying to get you to eat it.
Well, apparently they're trying to get me to get Blue Chew.
I watch. I sit
Gummies
around and
for
watch.
everyone.
I sit around and watch TV when I'm at work because that's what I do. Most of my job is waiting for somebody to come need me. So that I have long stretches of time where nobody actually needs me, so I can just sit there and watch Hulu on my phone or whatever. And I'll see the For Hims commercials like on Hulu or the different channels or streaming services. And there's like, if I was one of the dudes on there, I'd be like, don't put my age. Like, that's fucking embarrassing. Like, these dudes are like 32, 37. Like, I'm 39 and I don't have any issues with any of this stuff. Like, what is wrong with these guys? Like, way too much soy in their diet.
Look, I
They're
already
on
got two,
antidepressants.
old Wayne. Okay, Wayne, I already got two, so yeah.
Yeah, he's joining Vasectomy Clubhouse soon enough. We're gonna live stream it.
I'm going to make your wife live stream it. In
Yeah.
fact, this is going to be for like
As
educational
long-
purposes.
As long as I don't get the care package, like have you seen those kind of things? Oh my, that is the most like humiliating thing I've ever seen.
Care package. What is this care
No.
package?
So
Frozen peas.
no,
Right.
well, I mean sometimes, yeah.
They gave me a jock strap.
No, there's like with some of the women, like when their husband is getting a vasectomy or whatever, like, they'll be like no more like I don't know, they put all these like they make a little basket of like all these creative like quips, I guess, of like I forget what was there was one like something about like your balls or something like your balls
Yeah.
won't be so, I
The
don't know.
only care
About
package
balls.
The only care package I got was when I left the doctor's office. They handed me a little cup and said, "In 2 weeks, jizz in this and bring it back." Okay, whatever you say.
God, let me see if I can find one of those because it's hilarious.
I'm
Basically-
curious to hear. While you do that, we me and the wife went and saw the new Mission Impossible movie the other day, which wasn't bad. Speaking of weed gummies, got really stoned. Lost my phone in the theater seats. That was embarrassing. But it wasn't a bad movie. It was almost 3 hours, way better than the Indiana Jones we went and saw. But like, so this is the thing that they do, like the local radio station does in partnership with this business that I'm associated with. And so every time there's like this big like movie comes up, they they do the thing, and the local radio, the morning DJ guys come out, and before the movie, I'm in the bathroom, I'm taking a piss, and one of the morning DJ guys comes up and takes a piss next to me, right? And I go and I'm washing my hands, and he just walked out, right? And he was in a hurry, he had to get to the theater and talk to everybody and open the thing, but it was just so funny because like, that motherfucker didn't wash his hands, and like, if he knows me, like, but if he didn't know me, right, like, I just so badly wanted to call the radio station the next day, like during their morning show, and like call him out on it, like not washing his hands. So yeah, I went to see that you were there too. Yeah. Hey, motherfucker, you didn't wash your hands, bitch. Put him on the spot. But I'm too much of a pussy.
That's always
I
funny.
think he'd remember that I was in there with him. So yeah, good times. I mean, I don't think it matters much. He didn't touch anything I was going to touch, but still. You're like, dude, you're like, I don't want to say famous, but like locally famous. Like, wash your hands, dude. Like, people are going to notice. I don't know.
I wish I'd gotten a care package like this.
Oh,
Yeah,
what you got? Oh, I see.
This is it. It's like, sorry about your ding dongs. Time to retire the swim team, and it's like Swedish Fish, and like that's it on the it's Sugar Babies. It's like that's it on the babies. Sorry, you're experiencing fireballs. No more. It's like Sour Patch Kids. No more kids. Ibuprofen is out. So like feeling a little less nutty buddies, and like being jerked around is hard and makes you extra tender. And then like no nuts. Like there's donuts. No nuts. Yeah, this kind of stuff. I was like,
All right. Relatively
kinda-
clever. I'll give it to him. But at first, I was like, oh, it's gonna be some gay woman jokes.
I mean, yeah, it's like dad level jokes, but they're not horrible. But it's like oh man, it's kind of degrading, especially.
We're all gonna chip in. So we're gonna have your wife be there to film it. We're all gonna chip in and send you a nice care package with lots of dad jokes and corny shit. We're gonna go all out for this because, unless we talk Mark into coming back on the show, you're the only one that still has active swimmers. So whenever you finally decide that your crotch goblins are bad enough you don't want anymore, then we're gonna capitalize on this opportunity.
Oh my god.
It is still our number one viewed episode after all, or at least as far as I know. I know it's the one that'll take you right to us on YouTube.
The easiest to find. I still like search morning after, and I still can't find it no matter what.
There's so many other things that come up. Yeah, it's crazy. We just need like 2 more likes, and then we can have our own thing or whatever.
anytime we go on I go on another show for any reason, I always promote this with you got to find us by searching for Vasectomy Clubhouse. I will always promote the show with that.
It's an interesting hook too. So
yeah, because anytime you tell somebody they're like, wait, what? Yeah, it's the name of an episode. You just got to go search for it, and then it'll all make sense.
I like that you're someone who has kids but still uses terms like crotch goblins, because I see like both sides. Because I'm in like some like childless by choice groups, and some of those people are just the fucking worst. They're like atheists, But like they're like, and then there's people who like have kids who I know who they're like, how could anybody ever refer to their child as a crotch goblin? That's terrible. It's a beautiful life and this and that. And I'm like, shut the fuck up, dude. You can love your children and still fucking make jokes about them being fucking curtain climbers or crotch critters or what the fuck ever. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Everyone takes themselves way too fucking seriously.
Go back to
this.
Bad mouthing the atheist.
Look, I'm agnostic or whatever, but atheists piss me off.
Yeah. Especially the Reddit tier atheists, like they're like
yeah,
action.
Well, so I guess it shouldn't come as a surprise that I refer to my children in that way, because like y'all have watched me physically hit my son as he walks past, and I talk bad about the kids all the time with them standing like literally right here, sitting over my shoulder. Somebody at work the other day said, I was talking about the kids, and I can't remember who it was, but one of the guys at work, he's like, I just can't see you as the dad type. He said, you don't really cross me as like fatherly. He said, you're more like the mean older brother. It's like, and that's how I parent. I told my son that, and he said, God, that's perfect. That's exactly how you parent. He's like, you're like the mean older brother. I was like, well, I grew up as the mean older brother, so it only makes sense that I would just continue to be that as now I just have new younger siblings to beat up on, and I still treat my brother exactly the same way too.
Why would you stop? I mean,
right.
I wish I had a mean older brother. Yeah. I feel like I'd be tougher.
Trey's got to cut out.
Yep.
Ooh, that means we get to run the final thing that I had lined up for today. I thought this was an interesting little exchange to wind us out on. Let's see. For some context, a Republican congressman says colored people, and the black Democrat asks for it to be stricken from the record, and he responds that he wants to change it to people of color, and that's not good either. So let's hear them out.
Well, Mr. Chairman, though, that was unbelievably inspiring. My amendment has nothing to do with whether or not colored people or black people or anybody can serve, okay? It has nothing to do with color
Mr.
of your
Speaker.
skin, any of that stuff. What we want to preserve and maintain is the fact that our military does not become a social experiment. We want the best of the best. We want to have standards that guide who's in what unit, what they do. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, the Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians, the North Koreans, they are not doing this because they want the strongest military possible. I hope my colleagues on the other side can understand what we're doing. Thank you so much.
Mr. Speaker, asking to be recognized to have the words colored people.
For what purpose does the gentlelady seek recognition?
I'd like to be recognized to have the words colored people stricken from the record. I find it offensive and very inappropriate.
Is the gentlelady asking for unanimous consent to take down?
Gentlelady.
Asking for unanimous consent to take down the words referring to me or any of my colleagues as colored people.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Arizona?
Can I amend my comments to people of color?
The gentleman wishes to amend his comments.
Ugh, politics is so gay.
Consent.
Mr. Speaker, to have the word stricken. I didn't ask for an amendment.
Is there unanimous consent to have the word stricken?
What are we supposed to? I don't know what she wanted. If he was really being honest, and like when she asked to have it stricken, he was like, "Can I just change it to retard?"
Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
See, and y'all thought I was going to say nigger.